playing this game, which a lot of people are saying they don't. You had to admit there was a lot of drama, a lot of action. I was excited about the episode, but even more than that, I was excited to see your face through my computer screen. Congratulations on podcast award win.
Yes, and Stephen, thank you very much. And Stephen, congratulations on being the knowingest.
You got Will.
Steven's the best. Know it all. Turns out Rob isn't that good at all.
Oh boy!
Pull it all out for you, Rob.
And do I want that to happen? Oh my God!
Well, crazy episode tonight, and great to be here podcasting with you, Rob, and not Josh Wigler.
Oh, come on!
No, Josh was great. I love podcasting with Josh.
No, Josh is the best, and so we don't have a jingle for that, but Josh is the best. And Stephen, we have so many different things to talk through. I mean, I was just like typing frantically for an hour in this episode. I really felt like going into Tribal Council, like, okay, I don't know who's going home. There's so many different things to talk through, and I'm glad that we are live here and ready to talk about it. I'm fired up.
Kind of a predictable actual end, though. In an episode that there's a tremendous amount of stuff to talk about, an entire reshaping of the alliance structure of the game, a huge new twist in this season that might, for future, presumably we'll be using future seasons. So many different little strategic things. The end itself was kind of boring.
Yeah, where we ended up getting was not the most shocking outcome in the world, but in some ways I do think it was a bit surprising. But we'll talk through everything that ended up happening. Of course, we're live here, Survivor Know-It-Alls here on Wednesday night. Tomorrow morning, I will speak with Jen Brown, Stephen.
Oh my gosh, the day that a lot of people thought Jen was going to win for sure, certainly make the finals. I thought she was going to make the finals. Disappointed to see her go so soon. I didn't love that she's kind of checked out of the game, but when she was in it 100%.
Yes, 150,000%.
Yeah, that seems to be the baseline percentage for these people.
Yeah, well, the history of percentages on Survivor is all over the place.
Yeah,
100% is just not quite enough.
And yeah, you can never. If you're giving 100%, you're not even in the running. You're competing like Will is in the challenge.
That's right. And so we've got a lot to do here in the next 24 hours or so. Of course, I'll speak with Jen Brown tomorrow morning, and then I will have our big recap podcast with, it doesn't get much better than this, Richard Hatch will be my guest.
Richard, the original
Survivor. Wow. Richard Hatch will be my guest. I will talk with Richard Hatch, and then we're going to have voicemails with Colin Stone, Stephen Fishback. How about that? The great Survivor podcast.
I love the Dom and Colin podcast. They do good work.
They do good work, and so my guest will be Colin Stone, and that will be all on the Thursday show. Get your voicemails in the show at robinswebsite.com/voicemail or 323-282-RHAP. So much great stuff happening right now on all of these shows that we cover. Really exciting Survivor. Big Brother Canada has picked up. Very exciting week there.
Wow.
Lots of cool stuff that we're talking about. Game of Thrones. It's so much great TV right now, Stephen.
It's a great time to watch TV and to podcast about TV. Do these other Survivor podcasters? Are you sort of like the godfather of reality TV podcasting?
I don't know, Stephen. That's a question beyond my know-it-all.
That's for other people to say about you.
That's not for me to say yourself. All right, Stephen. So, what do you think? What's the top story here? I feel like we gotta go through. We can just talk about.
Go ahead.
I was gonna hear. Let me give you the options. For me,
okay. I'm ready.
Is it Mike's game or is it the twist?
I think it's Mike's game and Rodney's kind of flipping Mike's game, and we've been talking about this for weeks, that Joe is this focus of attention. He's allowing Mike to keep his alliance intact. Joe goes home next week. Mike's out on the street. To me, that's like the big strategic shift for now.
Yeah, because we've talked about this for a couple of weeks. Mike is in such a great spot. You've been fangirling for several weeks now about Mike's game and his edit. And so now, Mike looked like he was in a really great position coming into this week. But for all intents and purposes, throughout this episode, it almost is like Mike and Joe had Freaky Friday, where now Mike is just in the Joe position, and now he's just in an alliance with Jen and Shireen.
Yeah, it's he has actually just been. You're exactly right. He's been shuttled straight into the Jen position or to the Joe position, and I think it's because, Joe was the big threat and Joe's gone. Mike is still there. And, Rodney, to his credit, knows that he has to move first, right? I think that's like one of the fundamental Survivor rules: get them before they get you. Cochran, in his final tribal council speech, and Caramoan said what was his skill? It was timing. And I think that's Rodney showing impeccable timing here.
Yeah, well, Rodney is looking good at times, but then he also had a bit of a blow up at tribal council. And really, this season is really wide open. I mean, this is really, I think, very interesting. And for as good as Mike looked last week, and I think he does a lot of good things and a lot of bad things in this episode. I think that this is really just anybody's game with 8 people left.
I completely agree. And Mike, he pulled it out today, right? He needed it, and he pulled out the immunity win. And
the Joe position. Mike is the new Joe.
He's the new Joe. Yeah. I actually didn't think Rodney's blow up was. Rodney's delivery is not great, but I think his message is superb. Mike, the blow up at Tribal Council was Mike is saying, "There's this foursome. They're an alliance. Here's the tribe dynamics. Here, you two, my friends, are on the outs." And Rodney, in response, blows up, says, you ruined this emotional moment. You're obsessed with this game. You're all contorted. You screwed up this great moment that we all had. Rodney is shutting down Mike's strategic argument and making this emotional play that he knows resonates really well with Dan and Sierra. So I think that it's actually a pretty good strategy from Rodney.
I just don't know. Like, tonight was the first time, and again, I'm just trying to process everything because I don't have a great take on this right now. But Rodney, and I wrote him off early in the season. I didn't think much of Rodney, but as I was watching the show, I'm trying to say to myself, is Rodney a potential Tony Vlachos-esque character where he's all over the place, but there's a method to his madness? Do you feel like, and I don't think he's as good as Tony, but right, do you feel like he is maybe cut from the same cloth as Tony?
I don't think he has the same reads on people. Tony's superpower were his reads. Tony liked to play the game for its own sake. Tony was having fun out there. I don't think the same is true of Rodney, but I do think he is he's a smart guy. He's a savvy guy. He's from Boston. I think he knows how to build an alliance, and that's what he's doing. And he sees the enemy, and he knows how to take the enemy out. So, I get that he has a lot of the same energy and physicality of Tony, but I actually don't see their games as being very similar.
Okay. Stephen, this was such an electric episode of the show. I mean, we just had so many heated debates in one episode. You're lucky if you have a season where you have one of these fights that we ended up having tonight. And we have like 2 or 3 of them all in one episode.
It was crazy. A lot of big moments. The whole Rodney Mike thing, I just thought Rodney did such an amazing job with, he saw that Mike had kind of pissed Dan and the Sierra off, and he twisted the knife. He cozied up to Dan and was like, can you believe Rodney, or can you believe Mike, ruining that moment for us? What a jerk.
Yeah. There's so much to talk through. Let's just try to talk through all these things chronologically, because they all sort of fall into one another. So the auction ends up happening. We start with the auction, and I loved what Survivor did with the auction, because I do feel like the Survivor auction is a little bit broken. And I felt like, rather than a whole segment on it, and it's like, oh, what do we have here? Oh, cheese and crackers. Who do we got? 40. Do I hear 60? I felt like we sort of yada-yada'd with all of the food stuff at the Survivor auction, because who needs it? Who cares?
You know what? I actually kind of like the, do you go for the thing in the box, or do you go for the thing you see? But I hear you. It's not pushing the game forward.
Okay. So we had first part of the auction where Will spends $100 to get out of here, go home.
Yeah.
Did you like that? Did you think it was too mean?
I thought that was fun. I thought the way it played out was fun. I think maybe the problem with the auction is that basically what ends up happening is most people get a little bit something to eat. One person gets something good, and then and that's it. here they had all of these reversals and interesting twists, and that this is what the auction has the potential to do, right? Is introduce cool stuff into the game in a fun way, not just food. So, sending Will home, but actually he's got a secret stash of food. That's a cool idea. It adds drama.
Yeah, let's put a pin in the Will thing, and we'll come back to that after the auction. Okay, so we end up with the thing, and to me, it was starting to be, I was a little bit down on this because, Shireen was the person that she knows everything about the auction, and, I would have liked to have seen Jeff say to her, oh, you think you know everything? Well, we're not going to do that today. But
I think, that would have been great, but yeah.
It works out. It almost works out even better because Jeff's like, well, you happen to be right, Shireen. Everybody can buy their letters for $20, and I will grant you everybody the same. That I'm Trader Jeff. I must give the letters to anybody who pays that price. That is my Trader Jeff guarantee.
Yeah, no, I was with you. I thought that he was going to flip it up, but he did not.
Okay, so then we get this amazing sequence here where, okay, everybody put your $20 down and you can have your letter. You can have your letter. And as Dan is going into his whole spiel of, I love my wife. My wife is the greatest. Like, we sort of drift away from Dan.
I love that, yeah.
And we're getting Mike's POV, and we see the wheels turning in Mike's head. And Mike just turns around, doesn't put his money down. We go to commercial, and it's great. And I'm loving this. And I'm in love with Mike in this moment, Steven.
Yeah. Such an exciting strategic idea. Totally, Olay the other guys, let them charge right on through and put down their money. Terrible social move, though, right? We can all agree that fun strategically, but terrible socially.
Okay. Because, and what we didn't really touch on, but you know this if you saw the episode, Mike has already overheard the Rodney thing. Again, Mike is just like Tony with these spy shacks and everything. He hears everything. And so Mike feels like he's going to be the target. But, Steven, he reverses course. Yeah. Everybody is mad, and he doesn't go through with it. Steven.
Yeah. Is the damage done? Is that your question? Is the damage done?
Yes. Is this, even if you didn't pull the trigger, at the point where you already pulled out the gun, isn't the damage already done? Don't you have to go through with it at that point?
I think damage is done, but I think much more damage is done when you then have your 500, you then have your advantage, you then have your superpower. I think that's going to, keep on. I think in that case, the damage is undoable, where it's going to be a consistent reminder to these people of how you screwed them over versus one sort of trepidatious, oh, should I? That's annoying. It is a slight violation of trust, but, I think the damage would have been much worse if he had gone through with it. You disagree?
I don't know, Steven, because the thing is that we know what we know, and we know that the twist is that he's going to be able to get 2 votes. And I do feel like that having the 2 votes could be potentially more valuable than...
In this moment for Mike, yes.
Yes. For Mike himself, what he thinks the advantage is going to be is a better chance to win immunity, which he ultimately is going to win anyway. So it's almost like a non-starter based on what he knows at that point. He's going to be able to win immunity on his own. So he's like, I've got a pretty good shot to win immunity anyway. This is just going to be an advantage to win immunity. He doesn't know how big an advantage it's going to be.
Right, and the advantage, sometimes is insurmountable, and sometimes it's surmountable, right? I mean, so I think Malcolm lost with an advantage, and other people, when they get them, like Jason won. So it's hard to say, but I still think that the loss is too big.
I think it was such a half measure. I think you have to either do it or don't do it.
So you think you kind of pissed people off a little bit, so you should therefore piss them off even more? I don't see that.
When you're wet, you're already soaked, Steven. You can't get more wet. But
if I was like, you know what, Rob, I'm gonna go to your house and rob your house, and you'd be like, what the heck? Why would you do that? And I'd be like, you know what, maybe I won't. That would be much less between us than if I actually then still went and robbed your home.
But it would still be enough for me to say, I don't think I could trust Steven anymore. He told me he was going to break into my house.
But I decided not to. Versus if I had, you would call the police on me.
It's like, Steven, if I tell my wife tonight that, I was about to have an affair.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't. But I didn't.
Yeah.
You know, the damage is already done.
You know, if you actually had the affair, the damage is much worse.
Steven, I can tell you that not that I know from experience, but the difference would be negligible. I think at that point, the difference between actually having the affair and just saying I was about to have an affair, it would be not as big of a like you're thinking logically. But this is an emotional game.
Well, that's what I agree. I think the emotions that they spike and it's bad, but then it's off the. I think you could lose the game.
Okay,
you know,
we're talking in circles.
We're spinning.
Did Mike lose Dan and Sierra because of this?
I think it clearly really, really hurt his relationship with Dan and Sierra, and it looks like it was as much about this sense of trust that they had, as it also was about this sense of paranoia that this perception of Mike as being too paranoid, too focused on the game, seeing daggers in the dark everywhere. I think that is as much as anything what would happen.
Because the way that it went down with Dan and Mike, where like Dan was like, "All right, Mike, come on, you gotta pay up." He's like, Mike says to Dan like, "Dan, I wouldn't do that to you." And he's like, okay, but then he does it to him. Like,
he said, I would never like squander trust or something.
Like why would I like trade trust like that? Yeah. But then he did it, and it was like, I can't go through with it, Jeff. I tried something, and I can't go through with it.
Yeah.
So, no, I don't know if that's what ultimately. And personally, I don't know if Dan and Mike is totally broken. The show, I feel like, certainly led us to believe that it's broken. But the way that the votes went. Basically, all of Blue Collar plus Sierra and Mike and Rodney and the white collar people, Tyler and Carolyn, like they all basically just stuck to the plan that they were originally going with of vote out the rest of the no collar.
Well, and also like the people who are talking about the 6 are Carolyn. Carolyn is talking about the 6. Rodney's talking about the 6. Dan and Sierra are not talking about the 6. And in fact, when Dan is talking about his vote, he's talking about Mike, you're paranoid. They're not really out to get you. You know, we're just, so Dan never really does anything to betray Mike.
Yeah.
He just doesn't break up his alliance with Rodney.
Yeah. And also the 3 that we talked about, that Shireen talked about, it's a 4 plus 2 versus 3. The 3 doesn't vote as a 3. We see them talk a lot, but they don't vote as a block. Like Mike, Jen, and Shireen don't all put their 3 votes on Mama C.
No, they all vote, but Mike and Shireen vote for Jen. And my assumption was that was agreed on by Jen.
Right.
They knew that they had lost Dan, so Mike and they all agreed. Like Jen wanted to go home, and Jen knew that Shireen wanted it badly, and they all knew Jen didn't want it.
But if they lost Dan, then who would Dan have was supposed to vote for otherwise?
Dan was going to be part of the 3-3 split with Rodney. He was part of the 6.
Yes, he was part of the 6, but Mike and Shireen and Jen don't vote like a 3 against the other 6.
Right. But I'm saying like Mike, Shireen, and Jen knew that they couldn't beat that 6, so they probably agreed. Okay, we'll vote Jen out instead of Shireen. We'll keep Shireen in this game. So they all put their votes on Jen.
Yeah. So in my mind, the Mike and Dan thing hasn't fractured. Like.
I think
uneasy, but they did not. They basically punted on having to make a call.
I agree, and I think that's the same for Sierra too. Maybe Sierra's more with Rodney for whatever reason because and as well she should be, right? Mike is the big threat right now, but I don't know actually. Should she be? Like, what is the correct move for Sierra in this moment? Like, should Sierra? I know, like we always see things exclusively through Mike's vision and never through anybody else's. But should Sierra be? Should Sierra stick with Mike, or should she flip to this Rodney, Will, Carolyn group?
Boy, I mean, for Sierra, I talked about it on the podcast over the weekend. How does Sierra win the game? And to me, I felt like the only way that Sierra wins the game is to sort of be like the last person left from her group and then go on sort of like an immunity run and sort of vote right it. I don't know a configuration of people on the jury that she can sort of vote with strategically to get to the end and win the game. Can you think of anything?
Well, I don't. The only thing is, like, if Mike wants to go to the end with Dan and Sierra, it's conceivable that whoever the 4th person is in that group, let's say it's Shireen, right? Like, if Sierra goes with Mike, Dan and Shireen to 4, and then they all vote out Mike. Then Sierra's at the end against Dan and Shireen. Everyone hates Shireen and everyone hates Dan. So
does everybody hate Shireen? I think there's 3 people on the jury right now that would all vote for Shireen.
That's absolutely that's true. Well, she won't have Will's vote. That's for sure.
She won't have Will's vote, but I don't know. I mean, I don't think that well, there's so much to.
I know it's too much. Too much.
Too much.
This is like more than a finale, really.
Like we sat there at Gotham Comedy Club and we're like, so
anything else happen? Yeah.
Man.
Oh man.
This episode we need like 3 hours. We're gonna take a bathroom break halfway through. Okay. So after the challenge was over, after the auction was over, Mike comes back, and everybody has their letter, and Mike takes this moment to blow up Rodney's alliance. Okay, yeah. Now, the timing, going back to the Cochran thing, the timing ended up being terrible. It ended up being the worst possible moment that he could have done that. Let's forget the timing. I want to talk to you about the approach. Did you like the approach that he discovered this, that to call out Rodney in front of everybody?
Well, so I don't think you can. So Mike is doing damage control here, right? Like Mike realizes that his move at the reward was boneheaded, and he thinks I have to explain that right away, right? So I don't think you can divorce the approach from the timing.
Okay, that's fair.
But so your question is, but I was wondering that because he does that at Tribal Council too. He says there's a foursome and they're out to get me. Yeah, like what does that get him? Like what does that win him?
Steven, I feel like on Survivor, there's a thing where the group approach of like, hey, I want to make an announcement to everybody. I feel like that rarely goes well.
Never goes well.
I feel like the Survivor conversations that are effective are the one-on-ones or the one-on-twos or the twos-on-ones. The small conversations of, hey, let me just Dan, I just want to let you know the reason why I did what I did was because I think Rodney has this insurrection that's coming. I overheard them. They're coming to get me. Just so you know, it's you and I. But when you address the group and call people out as a group, I feel like I can't think at the time that worked well.
Well, so what about, why is that different than the Dan funeral on Big Brother? Isn't that what Dan did in like the Dan funeral on Big Brother? No.
I
don't really know Big Brother.
Totally different thing. But okay. Dan Giesling was sort of like, that would be like the equivalent of, if Jen knew she was going to get voted, or basically if Mike didn't have immunity and he knew he was going to get voted out, he basically did like a whole big thing of like, hey, everybody, just so everybody knows, I know I'm going out, so I have no hard feelings, and sort of like, a whole thing like that. Basically, I don't remember the specifics of what he said in the speech, but it was different. It wasn't calling people out. It was like, I'm excited.
Right. Okay. So bad comparison, but yeah. So I don't really. Yeah. There's no real reason. Like, what is Mike's goal? I mean, other than sort of trying to excuse himself, which I think is really what he's doing. Right.
You're right. He's trying to change the narrative. Right.
Yeah. There's no real strategic purpose there.
Well, I think the strategic purpose is, I think he feels like he's the good guy. He's going to expose Rodney. Everybody's going to see what Rodney is really up to, and his whole thing is going to fall apart. I feel like that's what, and it just turns out to be the timing is terrible. And everyone's like, are you kidding me right now, Mike?
Well, the timing was terrible.
Yeah.
And this, I think this is a function of where they are in the game. They're like, well, where are they? They're like 30 days in or 27 days in.
I think they're probably about like day 27.
Yeah, you're just like, you're loopy, you're kind of nuts by that point. And if you're fixated on the game in the same intensity and focus that Mike is, you're just like spinning game scenarios always, and, I just think he's like kind of going a little bit stir crazy.
Yes. Okay. Let's then double back to the Will thing. Okay. So we have the second part of the auction, and I'm really glad Survivor did it this way, where Will got voted out of the auction, but, with every disadvantage comes an advantage. And so he has the opportunity to, dig up this treasure chest filled with snacks. That's great. Here's enough rations to supply you for the rest of the game.
Right.
And so he decides to go ahead and share this with the rest of the group.
Terrible decision, right?
Terrible decision. It worked out not so great. But is this a decision at all? Could a survivor feasibly get us something like this and then have this sort of food store for themselves? Would that be practical at all? Could they get away with it?
I mean, isn't that sort of what Tyson and Jervis did? Is that they had this like kind of like secret supply of coconuts that they just ate all the time?
I would say it's more like what Nyanka did, if anything.
Right.
But I don't know. I don't really know the logistics of what the coconut bandits were able to do. I don't know if they had like a bank vault full of coconuts like Scrooge McDuck. I don't know exactly how they pulled that off. But, I mean, this is like a treasure chest in the ground. There's like a huge hole in the ground. How could Will every day make up an excuse to go out to this treasure chest, dig on the hole, eat as much as he could, and then fill the hole back up and never get caught?
I agree. It's dangerous. It's really, really, really dangerous to like hide anything, because if you're discovered, then you're really in trouble.
Right. So it's almost like a ticking time bomb of when are you going to get busted? Yeah. So ultimately, he does the move, which is probably the sensible move. I mean, I think that the real move here is eat as much of this stuff as you can before anybody else gets there. And then
he seemed to be doing it in.
Yeah, which he seemed to do. But again, just like with Mike and Dan in the beginning of the season, with this good versus deceive or whatever they call the opposite of deceive, not neutral. So he brings the stuff back and he's like, hey, everybody, he's like, read the note, look at this, and here's everything. I'm giving this all to you guys, and I'm the hero. And sure enough, people are like, boy, I bet there was more stuff. I bet he got more than what he told us. Yeah,
and it's so easy. You have nothing else to talk or think about. It's so easy to accuse people of deceit with just about everything and to see negativity in any gift. So, like, what is the correct move here? You think Will did the correct thing, but like, it's no matter what happened to Will is going to happen. I just don't know what you could possibly do in that situation.
Yeah, I don't know if he needed to just like not even touch anything and say, hey, everybody, just so you guys know. Look, and it's like a crime scene. Like, I haven't touched any of the evidence.
Well, you've got to, like, presumably you've got to, like, dig through each jar to make sure there's no idol clue, right?
You would think so. I mean, I think he did the right thing. It's just like the problem on Survivor is just like you're damned if you do and damned if you don't. Like there really isn't it. So I don't think he could have done anything different. I think he actually handled all of this the right way. People are going to think what they're going to think. Now, where he got this wrong comes when he decides to get it to this altercation with Shireen.
I mean, calling it an altercation is generous to Will.
He just bombs her into next week. I mean, there is no excuse for what he did as a player or a person.
Yeah. It was deplorable action as certainly strategically terrible and just deplorable as a human.
Now, again, I need to go back and watch the episode a second time because I don't really exactly know. It seemed like Mike and Jen and Shireen were all saying this stuff, but I don't know exactly how word got back to...
So Tyler tells Will that people are saying you might have been, you might have kept some stuff behind. Will, like, lights back to camp, and the only person who's there, Mike, Jen, and Shireen, is Shireen. Okay. So he lights into Shireen, and I just think that's, you know what, like, Shireen has been outcast this entire game. She's been on the outs. She's the weakest. She's the least likely to defend herself of the three. Mike is this big brawny dude. Jen is this sort of like shoot from the hip. She'll say anything to anybody kind of woman. For him to pick on Shireen of anybody in that tribe, to me, is the most disgusting because he is just picking on the most powerless person.
Right, and he says about her, there's nobody in the United States that misses you. You have no family. You have nothing, and then Mike.
Soul, right?
Right. I think that comes later, but I'm not exactly sure if it came up in the original conversation. He did say that was true at tribal council.
We should talk about that later. I hate that. That is, to me, that's a trigger word for me. I hate that.
Soul?
No
soul?
Saying that's true when someone like calls you out. If you say something hurtful and you're called out for it and you try to defend yourself by saying that's true, like, it's just disgusting. Like, it excuses yourself. It twists the knife into the other person. You know what? It's not true. And even if it were true, like, that's not an excuse to say something mean about someone else.
Such a soft heart, Steven.
Yeah, that's true.
No, I mean, but it was terrible. But let's not get too much into the judging of Will's character for doing what he did. Okay. But just from a game perspective, it makes no sense why he would do this to Shireen.
Yeah, it really. I mean, clearly he's worked up, right? He's angry. He's angry because he got kicked out of the challenge or the reward. He didn't get his letter from his wife. Well,
then I got a treasure chest full of beef jerky.
But then he does something, magnanimous, and then it's judged negatively. And I'm sure he,
look, I get it that he's upset about not having the letter. When I was, 24 on Survivor and I didn't get a letter, I was like, big deal. I didn't get to talk to my parents. But as a grown up now, as somebody with a wife and like I could only imagine what it would be like not that my kid can write a letter, but there's just that anything from home, I'm sure it's a big deal. But again, to say at this point into the game, I don't care about the money, I only care about my family.
Right.
So why did you come there in the first place? Because you're this far away from changing your family's life forever. You're 12 days away. Like, get your head in the game and don't eviscerate somebody who's going to potentially be an ally or a vote against you or a vote with you and potentially a vote on the jury that could win you $1 million.
I mean, there's no strategic justification for it. I mean, for sure. And it's terrible. And, I'm sure that's why everyone else was sort of standing by and watching it happen. Like for them, it was all gravy. Seeing two other people going at it, like that's great. But as people, let's say you're there, you're Tyler. Do you step into that situation and say, guys, let's calm down?
Boy, you know what? I have to say, as a Survivor contestant, I don't think I would. I don't think I would. I think if this was in real life, or this was in an office that I worked in, or if I was in any other situation, but I'm not sure if I would. I think it would depend on the people and whether I said on my original season that anytime that two people are fighting, that's good for business. If you're me,
yeah,
and I think it would be a good thing if I was Tyler.
Because the danger too, if you step in, is that suddenly Will is yelling at you, you're part of it,
Right, because he's saying to Tyler, well, why'd you tell me if you don't want me to say anything?
Right.
He's like, whoa, I didn't, Shireen, I didn't say anything, that wasn't me.
Yeah. It's just, but it's like, it's so personal and so vicious. It's like, it's a crazy moment.
Okay. Let's put the shoe on the other foot now. Okay, So here comes Will, and he comes up with this sort of cockamamie idea of, Jeff asks, how's everybody doing? Will's like, not great, Jeff. Will, what's wrong? Well, I didn't get a letter from my family, and, family means the most to me. It means more to me than the money. So what I was thinking was, and again, this is in Survivor 30 now, Steven. We saw this in Survivor 29. You could just make up deals with Jeff. Like, I was thinking, what if instead of me competing in the challenge, I got a sandwich today? What do you think of that? What do you think of that? I wouldn't get immunity.
Yeah.
I could get voted out. I could. But in exchange for me not playing, I'll get a sandwich. What do you think of this offer?
Yeah. Probably Jeffy doesn't go for that. I mean, the letters thing, it's hard,
Jeff has a hard time turning down letters.
And emotions, right? Like, what's great about the letters is that they bring out the emotions of the players. They're an anchor back, or a connection back to their homes. Hey, the thing that I didn't like about this is that Will has zero chance of winning immunity anyway.
Right.
Will is not winning immunity. For him to say, I will give up my chance at immunity, like, you know what? Mike says that. Joe says that. Then it's meaningful. But for Will to say it, it's like, not going to happen.
Yeah, that's why it was like such a thing where it's like, Steven, I am going to, give up my chance to be president of the United States.
Yeah, exactly.
In 2016.
Yeah.
I'm going to give up my chance of that in exchange for $10,000 cash. Now, I could be president in 2016. I will give up that right. So it's like Will had no chance. I mean, Will has got to come in, look at what the challenge is. I have if I had 100 tries at this,
right.
I have no chance to ever win this immunity. Can I have my letters? So Jeff says, okay, if anybody abstains, then as long as nobody abstains, then that's fine. And so Jeff asked everybody, and I have to say, I was cracking up when Shireen raised her hand because it was such a great, juxtaposition from before.
Oh yeah.
But let's just talk about this.
If you're Shireen.
Not from a drama standpoint, but from a Shireen standpoint. In her game, where she is, was that a bad move for her?
So I'm guessing the argument is, why be vindictive? Why single yourself out? Why continue this antagonism? I don't know. I mean, I see that. I just think that, like, she's not winning Will over. No, Will is not going to be your friend no matter what.
Right. But does it make the case? Does it help solidify the case? Shireen is a jerk. Shireen is this. Shireen is that. Shireen is a bad person. If Will is trying to argue that case, and this is more evidence to support whatever claims he's making, isn't that a bad thing for Shireen? Isn't that somebody where she's probably never going to get Will's jury vote, but doesn't it help make the case to some of these other people that Shireen should be a target? Will says, no, I don't want her to be a target. I want to keep her around to torture her. But, I mean, she doesn't know that that's how he's going to think. Yeah.
Or it gives Shireen the ability to make the case, hey, this guy was a total jerk to me. Everyone saw that, and I'm going to be a jerk to him. I'm standing up, to him. I'm not just someone you can just bully around and not expect me to go along with your good fortune. I think it's her standing up.
It's her standing up, yes, but I'm just not sure that was the right game move. I don't think I would have done that if I was her. I feel like, and yes, you could make a case where maybe it's helping her make the case, hey, I'm a goat. Anybody can beat me in the end because I didn't give Will his letter, and I think it helps her case in that regards. Now, again, I don't think that Shireen is a goat. I already said that. She's got 3 votes on the jury right now that I think could potentially vote for her, but maybe I don't think there was any strategy involved in this. And maybe I will talk to Shireen one day and she'll tell me I'm 100% wrong. It was completely a strategieg decision. And then, Steven, you could say it was revisionist history. But that being said, I think this was an emotional decision, and I don't think it was a great one.
I agree it was an emotional decision. I don't think it's necessary. I think the losses from it are minimal to none. And again, for whatever small victory she gets over her aggressor, I think may even be worth it. Survivor's a game, but it's a game that happens in real life.
But boy, I mean, you couldn't ask for better drama than that to have.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. Yeah,
ream her out, and then 5 minutes later on the show, he has a chance to get his letters from him. Okay, unless anybody objects, it's like, well, Jeff, I'm gonna have to say objection. Objection, your objection trader, Jeff.
Yeah.
All right. So Mike wins immunity. And we end up getting, it seems like all things hinge on Dan.
Right.
All roads hinge on Dan. Dan is the swing vote.
Well, the swing 2 votes, Rob.
The swing votes. But that being said, the vote was not exactly one that was a swing. So what was Mike trying to get Dan to do? Was Mike pushing Dan to vote out Rodney?
I think that with Dan, if Mike had Dan, then he, Shireen, and Jen, and Dan would have voted for Carolyn. But because Mike didn't have Dan, they just voted out Jen.
Yeah, to me, the way that I thought this was breaking down coming into this, I thought, we had the Rodney 4, and then on the other side of things, I thought Mike had Dan, Sierra, and Shireen, and that's 4, and I thought Jen was the swing vote this week.
Right. Yeah, me too.
I was very surprised to see that Jen was going to be the person voted out because I guess that Rodney feels like, he has Dan and he has Sierra, and it's not going to be a 4-4 tie next week.
Yeah, this was a 6-3 vote, right? Or whatever, you're skeptical about the 3, but Rodney's leading a group of 6. But the question is Rodney, like we discussed, is Rodney really leading it? Or is this, we're so used to thinking of things as big alliances, that are all sort of together. and they're together until the final 5 and then the final 4. But the way this is sort of played out, people have been very fluid in how they've moved between groups.
Yeah, and I'm just not still quite sure, why couldn't Mike get Dan and Sierra to vote with Jen and Shireen and take out the people from that 4? Why wouldn't Dan and Sierra go along with Mike on that?
It sounded like they thought Mike was super paranoid and that he had imagined that they had betrayed him. I mean, like, coming into this episode, this alliance was everyone except Shireen and Jen, right? Like, starting from the merge, the big alliance that got made was all the blue collars. It was Tyler and Carolyn, and they all voted together. And then, Shireen, it was against the no collars and Shireen. And so the one who's flipping here is actually Mike. He's the one who's going over to Shireen and Jen.
Mm-hmm. Flippers never win, though.
Yeah. So, like,
Dan's magic words.
Yeah. So, like, whether if Rodney were going to take out Mike, obviously that would be the betrayal. But in this situation, you could make the case, at least from the optics, that the alliance that has stayed together is consistently staying together, and now Mike is the one who's gone rogue.
Yeah. So what is Dan's plan here? Now, again, he's got 2 votes here. But what is he going for?
I think Dan is sticking with his alliance.
Of what?
The alliance that's been together since the merge, and
so he's in his head that Rodney and Mike are all together with him.
Well, and then they all think Mike has gotten paranoid and has sort of, joined the other side. It sounds like
what's Dan's final 3 in his mind?
I mean, we don't know, right? Like, maybe it's even conceivable that Dan, probably not, right? Probably not, but it's because we haven't seen all of Dan's commentary this episode was about Mike, you're paranoid, they're not coming for you, no one's gunning for you. We haven't seen Dan say, you know what, I'm gunning for Mike. Like, it's possible that he still imagines he's with Mike.
Okay, but he still imagines that he's with Mike. Why couldn't Mike make the case to say, hey, let's vote with Rodney? I mean, Rodney, it doesn't seem like... it's so confusing to me, because it's either Dan was playing Mike, and Dan knows everything that's going on, or Dan doesn't know everything that's going on yet, and was being honest with Mike and saying, Mike, there really is nothing to worry about.
Well, that's the question. That is the thing I don't think we resolve. Like, is Dan actually betraying Mike because he knows there's a plan to take out Mike? Or is he kind of gulled by Rodney into really thinking that Mike has gone crazy? And I don't think we know.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think this is going to be a week where the secret scenes are very enlightening.
Well, we got to talk about the double vote.
Okay. Oh yeah, double vote, Steven.
Major evolution for Survivor if this continues.
Yes.
Something to talk about. Let's give it something to talk about.
Okay. So Dan has 2 votes here. So every week we have to potentially talk about. Okay, next week there will be 8 people left, but there's potentially 9 votes. So it's almost like on these even number of weeks where we say, okay, well, maybe don't expect a swing this week, because the next time to get off the interstate is going to be at 7. Here we are at 8. Now all of a sudden, Dan potentially is a major player in the game with 2 votes, because to get the majority on Rodney's 4, basically they could get the jump on Rodney with just 4 people.
What do you like this twist? Do you like this power?
Yes.
Yeah,
I do.
Too. I like it too.
I just said I feel like and it seems as though the other players could catch wind of this. Does it seem as though Survivor wanted the player that got this advantage to get caught with it? They give you basically for a piece of paper that folded up and fit in the soda bottle, and it could have been like they could have given you like this. They give you like the box from Monopoly. Here is your advantage. Yeah. Here you go. And so I mean, does Survivor want people to figure out, hey, what was in the box? Dan, you didn't open anything at that immunity challenge. You didn't have an advantage. What was that advantage that you got that was such a big deal at the immunity challenge?
Yeah. There's no question that Dan has had to answer questions. There's no question that he's had to answer questions about what it is, and it's we don't know what he's telling people, and that's another we also don't know when is the last time it can be played.
No, we don't know that.
Yeah.
And that's a Tony thing where it could be that was such a big deal in Cagayan. And also, we know that Dan is not really great under pressure because, I guess that there was a lot of people pushing Dan, hey, what are you doing this week? What are you doing with the vote? And he's like, nobody gets to tell me what to do with my vote. It's mine, and I'm going to do what I want, not what you want, not what you want.
It was classic Brandon Haynes. I am the author of my destiny, I control my fate.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So, Stephen, I'm sure we have a million questions to get to. Let me take a quick moment and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. And those are our friends over at ZipRecruiter.com, Stephen. And ZipRecruiter is great because it's the perfect time to talk about this because we're talking about a season of people playing in no-collar and blue-collar and white-collar tribes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so with ZipRecruiter.com, you could be a guy in a blue-collar job, and you could find yourself on a white-collar company.
You could get a job as a coconut vendor and seek truth.
Yeah, because the economy is heating up. There's thousands of open jobs from companies near you that are hiring. You just got to find them, but there's so many job boards out there. Where should you start? And let me just tell you, as somebody who, before I was a full-time podcaster, I would be looking for jobs, and you got to go on a million different websites.
Yeah.
It's a total pain in the neck, and then you forget to check one day, or you got to check the same one 3 times in one day. So at ZipRecruiter.com, you can search for jobs from hundreds of job boards, all in one place for free. Apply with one click for the jobs you want from the ZipRecruiter interface. It's never been easier to find a job faster. Find work in dozens of fields like healthcare, sales, office administration, and more, and get daily personalized jobs for free thanks to the ZipRecruiter intelligent job matching. Each week, people apply to 1 million jobs they find on ZipRecruiter, and now you can too. Go to ZipRecruiter.com/RHAP to search for jobs for free now. With ZipRecruiter, you're just a few clicks away from getting hired. Search jobs now for free and grab that great job before somebody else near you does at ZipRecruiter.com/RHAP. That's ZipRecruiter.com/RHAP.
Well, this could be a very useful service to the Dirty 30s, and it seems like right now all they do is hang out on social media and tweet. And get a job, guys.
Yeah. Yes, if you're looking for a new collar job, Dirty 30. There you go. All right, Stephen, let's get this kicked off with our questions. Here, what does Nick 2S have to say?
Nick 2S says, love or hate the note that Will bought, or would it have been more fair for them to know it was a piece of paper before bidding on it? What do you think, Rob? Did you like how it went down with Will?
Yeah, I had no problem with it because it created drama in the game. I mean, we've seen this before in the Survivor auction where it's like, okay, we have this covered item, and or this item comes with a twist, and it's like, all right, Natalie Bolton, pick one person to send to Exile Island, and you get to take all their money. So it happens at the Survivor auction. Somebody gets go directly to jail, and it happens, and this was an interesting twist on that.
Yeah, I liked it a lot. I think it's a fun way to introduce new dynamics into the game. The game thrives on conflict. It thrives on change. I really liked it a lot.
Yeah, I thought this was a great auction. And believe me, as somebody who's watching 30 seasons straight through, there are some boring auctions that have happened on Survivor, and this was not one of them. They did a great job. Okay. This is from Carrie Graveline. Is it better to call out a secret alliance in front of all of them or deal with it quietly among your trusted alliance? I think it's the latter, Stephen.
I agree. Anytime you're putting your enemy on their guard, you're losing. If Mike had quietly taken Dan aside and been like, this is happening, maybe he can convince Dan. But if he calls out Rodney and then tries to convince Dan, then Rodney is on his guard. Now that alliance that you're calling out, they're working actively against you. So in Survivor, you always want to have the advantage and the upper hand. That usually comes from knowing more than your opponents do. If you tell them what you know, you're losing that advantage.
Yeah, the element of surprise is huge on Survivor, and you want to keep that on your side whenever you can. All right, Logan Adair says, great to have you back, Rob. Do you think that the 2-vote advantage is a better prize than an idol clue?
It's an interesting question.
What would you rather have? What would you rather have? Idol clue or 2 votes?
Idol clue or idol? Let's say idol because
fine.
Yeah. I would rather have, I don't know. What would you rather have?
Boy, is it better to be immune or better to have 2 votes? I think that 2 votes might be better.
It really depends on the situation.
I have to look at
it's so situational. The problem is there's, like tonight, it's a 6-3 vote or whatever, it's not 8-1. Nothing that, an extra vote actually could have swung things. But one thing that I think the extra vote will do, Rob, which you'll be very happy with, is it may make people more hesitant to split the vote. Because, those vote splits are very narrow as it is. And if someone has that extra vote in their pocket, that could upend the split.
Yeah. And I think it could be very interesting if this information gets out. And then, hey, I might use my second vote tonight. I might not use my second vote tonight. Dan could sit there with it on his lap and carry it into the thing with him. Hey, am I gonna vote with my second vote tonight or not? I don't know. It's like the Willy Wonka golden ticket.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's very interesting, and it makes him less of a target. It's still something of a target with the idol. You really have to blindside someone who has the idol. Second vote, maybe not so much.
Okay. How about Survivor Fan 7?
Survivor Fan 7 wants to know, why didn't Will bring the box back to camp with him originally? Answer, it was a big, heavy box.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, dig it up more, probably.
Yeah. He's tired.
What was it? It was like trail mix, or was it? No, not trail mix. That would be then Julie McGee would come back into the game if it was trail mix. It was like dried fruit, like beef jerky, and what was the other thing?
Oh, I don't even remember.
Red vines?
Dried fruit seems, gastrointestinally questionable.
All right. Riley Rage says, do you keep Rodney around any longer because he's easy to read, or do you get rid of him ASAP because he's such a cannon?
I think you got to, I think Rodney's a real threat here. I think Rodney's, riling people up.
Yes.
He's a threat. What do you think?
I think that I will say this once more. I believe I judged Rodney. I judged the book by its cover. I think Rodney is a better player than I've given him credit for this season. I thought he was very good in that moment with Dan, and I think he's done a very good job of getting this alliance together and getting it in position to take out Mike. Now, I guess he did a bad job in talking too loud. I wish we could have seen where Mike was, that he overheard all this.
I thought that was really weird, too. Like, how is that possible that he just overheard them having this incredibly important conversation about voting him out? The timing and the coincidence of that is crazy.
Yeah. I wonder if it was something that was like sort of something that they couldn't have shown us, where I don't know exactly, if there was like I don't know if he was like, doing an interview and he was nearby or something like that. It was just like, it seemed like it was like in a way that they couldn't show us.
Yeah. So, listener tweeted in, third item in Will's box was electrolyte powder.
Electrolyte.
Actually, that's like superpower. Yeah, that's like the best item there.
Yes. Okay. And then if you win the game, then you can dump it on your head.
Yeah. And then take a dip in the ocean. Guy Smiley wants to know, wow, I thought Rodney was going to punch Mike when he stepped towards him. Now that Jen is gone, think it's all out war between Mike and Rod, battle to the death?
I just don't know if Mike has the horses to pull this off. I mean,
he's got the idol.
I mean, Mike has got to get Dan and Sierra back on board, and with Dan's 2 votes, that's enough. He could get the jump back on the Rodney crew. Rodney's crew needs an alliance, a name. They need a name.
What was Mike's alliance's name?
They don't have that. They were just the blue collar people,
right?
And that was easy. But it's Rodney's group needs a name.
Yeah, I feel like you're going to have one by the end of the show.
Okay.
R. Vandervest wants to know, anyone bummed to see Jen go? I thought she was great TV and actually had a decent game despite not even wanting to play.
Boy, I felt like she was going to have a second life.
Yeah, I did too. I was really bummed. I was bummed more than I was bummed to see her go. I was bummed with how she just quit immensely when Haley left. I thought she was such a great character and a great player. And I thought, wow, this is a girl who they're going to bring back over and over. She's going to come back, repeatedly. And then, then she just sort of, essentially quits. And it's like, well, will they bring that person back? Like, I'm not even sure if I would want to see someone back who gives up that easily.
Just shut up, man.
Yeah, shut up, man.
Yeah.
Anyway, looking forward to talking with Jen tomorrow and getting her side of the story.
Yeah.
And she can go see her animals also.
Yeah, there were a lot of them. There were like 13 animals.
Yes. Gamer Girl 2330. Why did Mike and Shireen vote for Jen? Well,
I mean, do you not agree? To me, it seems like transparent that they knew that it was either Shireen or Jen, so they decided to keep Shireen around.
I was just surprised that was what ultimately ended up happening, because I thought we were really getting it split up to have like a 3-3-3 scenario. and that Mike was pinning his hopes on that Dan was gonna, do the Tyson thing, and then ultimately change his vote.
Right.
Or I'd probably say like what JT did on Heroes versus Villains.
But it looks like ultimately they knew that the votes were going to. Do you think Mike should have used his idol at that point?
No, I don't think he used the idol on Jen. Think it was a 50-50. He could have used it on the wrong person, and I think if I'm Mike, I think I'd rather hold on to my idol.
Or they, yeah,
Too early.
Good call.
Okay, Victoria Esser, she wants to say, when did Sierra and Dan become part of the Rodney group? There's something they're not showing us. Yeah, it did seem like very suddenly. Again, was it Lettergate? Was it Advantage Gate? Why did Sierra and Dan just so quickly fall out of favor with Mike?
Yeah, I don't know.
It's a Rodney who nobody seems to like, and Sierra and Dan don't like each other.
It's a weird one. It is a really weird one. I wonder if it's just like they're cleaning house to like get rid of Jen. That's the only explanation I can think. Like Mike is a big threat. Jen has been the presumptive target forever. Let's just get rid of her and then we'll sort of move forward. And I do think sometimes there's that like sense with people kind of cleaning up an alliance. Like, well, we gotten rid of the rest of the no callers. Let's just finish the job and then figure things out. But there's definitely some information missing that we're not seeing.
Okay. This is from Zach Kennedy. Can someone admit that Rodney is playing this game really well? I've done it 2 different times on this episode.
Zach hasn't heard you. Zach has not heard you, Rob.
Steven, you say it now.
Rodney's playing a pretty interesting, good game. Yeah. Andy, too, wants to know, who made the single best strategic decision tonight? It's an interesting question. Will, for offering his private food stash to the whole camp. Shireen, for denying Will his family letter. Mike, for changing his mind about the auction betrayal, or Dan, for flipping on Mike. Single best strategic decision?
Yeah, I don't know if I agree with the option.
Is he being ironic?
Okay. All right. So, but Steven, this leads us to an interesting question. Who do you give the fishy to tonight?
I mean, you know who I give the fishy to.
Rodney?
Yeah, Rodney.
Really? Why? Because he kept his group together?
He flipped the script. He kept his group together. He took all those emotionally fraught moments and used them to drive a wedge between Mike and Dan and Sierra, and it worked.
If you would have told me back in February, that in week 10 of Survivor Worlds Apart, Rodney would be getting the fishy,
I know.
I would have told you that you were smoking crack.
Yeah, and it's happening. It's happening. The
You're just smoking crack?
Yeah. I'm actually not even sure who I can give you the fishy to anymore. Who gets the Cesty, Rob?
Who played the worst tonight?
Yeah, I think it's transparent.
Well, what do you think? Is it Will?
Will, right?
I mean, what he did was bad. But what he did at first was good. Like in his dealings with Shireen, I thought he was the worst.
Red Blue Green 48 wants to know, why didn't anyone mention Dan didn't have an advantage at the immunity challenge?
Well, they might have.
Yeah.
I think that, again, I don't know who would say, like, hold on, Jeff, isn't Dan supposed to have an advantage in this challenge? Like, I don't know who would stand up and say that.
Yeah, I think
you actually, you know what, you're right. Dan, you start with 3 balls.
Oh, timeless.
Yeah. Okay. This is from the real Jamilt. Can Carolyn actually return the letter?
I think Jeff would have said no. I think he absolutely would have and should have said no.
Jeff, I saved the receipt. The receipt, Jeff. I'm returning the letter.
Final. All sales are final at Trader Jeff's.
Trader Jeff's. Yes. Did you like that as a hashtag, Trader Jeff?
That was cute. It was cute. They're trying.
Can you get some $20 chuck at Trader Jeff's?
Yeah, I can hope so.
Okay. So 2 more questions.
All right, Jordan R18. Should everyone have gotten rid of Dan because he told everyone he was the swing vote? What do you think, Rob? This is your expertise.
No, I don't think you get rid of it. Just like, oh wait, hold on, Dan said it's a swing vote. Let's vote it. Let's keep Jen. Let's leave everything the same. Let's just vote him out.
Actually, would not have been a bad move for Rodney though to get rid of Dan.
I thought it was a potential. I thought it was in play. But let's vote out Dan if they thought he was. But again, if you're going to vote out Dan and he can't
have a Sierra.
Right. All right, last question from the great Brent Wolgamott, great Big Brother Canada live feed reporter. Shireen's move to deny Will a letter, good or bad move? Strategy to get to the final three or payback? I think it was payback, but I have a feeling if you talk to Shireen tonight, she'd give you some reason why it was a good strategic move.
Yeah, one more, because we talked about that a little bit in the show. Alex Kuntz wants to know, since everyone is such a terrible social game, does that make the social part of the game moot? Because nobody cares.
In the kingdom of the blind.
Yeah.
So, who has a good social game?
Mike has a great social game, right?
Kind of, generally I agree with that, but this was not the night to showcase Mike's social game.
Really? Was standing up for Shireen? I don't know.
He stood up to Shireen, but he also came within like a hair of screwing everybody over on the advantage thing, and then also came back and got everybody mad when they were trying to read their letters.
Yeah. Point well taken. Yeah, I mean, I wish we knew what was happening with Tyler and Carolyn. I know.
Yeah, I think it might be Tyler might have the best social game.
Tyler, yeah.
And he's quiet. All right. Boy, Steven, we had a lot to talk through tonight.
What an episode. Do you think, a lot of people were tweeting about how unlikable this cast is. Do you feel, I feel like it's just a few people who are really unlikable. I don't think the cast as a whole is super unlikable.
I don't think it's an unlikable cast. I mean, I'll take this cast any day over,
Yeah, they're playing hard. They're blowing stuff up.
Yeah, I think this is a good cast. I mean, is there one person that isn't like that everybody's rooting for? I mean, maybe not. I mean, I don't know why people aren't rooting for Mike. I know my mom was mad at him for voting out Joe last week, but I think that's the guy that I think is easy to root for. I think that. There's things to root for about Shireen. Who else is easy to root for? I feel like I had a lot of people rooting for her before the whole quit stuff.
Yeah.
Dan, he pissed people off with the comments that he made. I think Rodney is a little hard to root for. Tyler just hasn't given you a lot. Mama C, I feel like she's easy to I think that she hasn't done anything to make you not root for her. Sierra hasn't given you much. Is there anybody I'm missing? Will tonight. After tonight, I think it's tough to root for Will.
Yeah, I don't think you can realistically root for Will after tonight.
Yeah. So I think that there are people to root for in this cast. I don't think it's an unlikable cast. I think people are nitpicking.
That's it. I got nothing.
Yeah. All right. Well, Steven Fishback, looking forward to reading your blog on people.com. Of course, you can follow Steven on Twitter. He's at Steven Fishback. Steven on the precipice of winning his first ever Knowingest Know-It-All.
Oh my gosh, I can't wait. It's all down. You know what? If Carolyn shuts out Will and Rodney, then it's a wash.
Steven's the best. Know-it-all. Turns out Rob isn't that good at all.
Here's my path to victory. Okay. It's like Tyler and Carolyn go to the end with Will. Yeah. And Will gets no votes in the final drama council.
Yeah, I think that's your only. I think that's your only way.
Yeah, I think so. But we'll see. We're gonna keep on keeping on. We're gonna hold on. We're gonna hold on, Steven.
It hasn't happened yet.
All right, so we'll see. All right, so Steven Fishback, great job tonight. Of course, tomorrow I'll talk to Jen Brown on the Exit Interview podcast, and then we will get ready for our podcast with Richard Hatch and voicemails with Colin Stone. So get your voicemails in, robinsonwebsite.com/voicemail at 323-282-RHAP, and then a big Friday on the podcast. I'm going to have our Big Brother Canada 3 recap with Neha will be my guest, Steven. The great Neha the Slayer.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
I don't know who that is, but it sounds great.
You want to pop in and chat with Neha on Friday?
Yes. Sounds wonderful.
And then, of course, we'll do our Amazing Race recap with Jessica this Friday night at 9:15 p.m. Eastern. All right, so have a great night, everybody, and we'll talk again soon. Take care, everybody.
Good night, everybody.